Hi guys, welcome to HOB TV. This is episode 19. Today we have a great show in store for you guys. It was a great weekend of boxing. But before we get started, if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And also, if you guys are on Instagram, make sure to follow us at House of Boxing TV on Instagram. Stay tuned with us, up to date with us, with events with shows that are coming up and whatnot. But yeah, man, before we get started, pass it over to my boy Steve, and he'll get us going with that intro.
What's up, guys? As David mentioned, it was a history-making weekend, hence the balloons in the back, the Mexican-themed balloons back here. First time ever, Mexican heavyweight champion. Andy Ruiz's epic performance had all Mexicans everywhere jumping up and down.
Yeah.
The big fight itself would go on to make headlines the next day. You know how I love my headlines.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz here covered the LA Times with the headline, Ruiz stuns world with power to his people. And that's what it was about for guys like you and me, David. It was power to the people. Mexicans everywhere rejoiced. I loved it. Now, David, it took 7 tries and a few centuries or so, but boxing finally has, as we mentioned, a heavyweight champion of Mexican descent. Manuel Ramos, Eric Molina, and Chris Arreola are the other Mexican heavyweights that contended for titles before Ruiz. And what those 3 failed to do, Ruiz, the smallest and unlikeliest of the bunch, did so in such a way where he brought Mexicans on both sides of the border together in a prideful unison. And he did it the Mexican way. He did it with heart, ganas, and a whole lot of huevos. He ruined Anthony Joshua's big U.S. arrival party, and in its place, held a MAGA party. MAGA as in Make America Gordito Again. The 29-year-old is unapologetically Mexican, and we love him for it. Why? Because in this day and age of the other MAGA and walls and anti-immigrant sentiment, it took the son of immigrants, Ruiz, just 7 rounds to show us just how beautiful and awesome the fighting spirit of a Mexican can be. All in all, he's a hero we didn't know we needed, but he's ours, he's young, he's rich, and he's Mexican. David, in talking to your dad this week and grandfather, they expressed a pride. You know, your grandfather's been watching boxing 55 years.
Yep.
And he really overjoyed with Ruiz's history-making performance.
Oh man, I mean, you should have seen my house. I mean, my dad and my grandfather were jumping. I'll tell you what, man. I mean, it was hard. I mean, I had Joshua winning.
I think
everybody did, right? So I mean, it was hard for me to grasp around Andy Ruiz taking this fight. But man, you know, after this weekend, it was refreshing to see a boxer like Ruiz, an underdog, come up and do what he did. Not just win, but win by knockout in the fashion that he won. That was impressive. And again, man, being a Southern California guy involved in the sport of boxing here, I boxed all my life in Southern California, all over. But I mean, especially seeing a guy that you've watched box here in the Southern California area, do what he did and making the money that he's going to be making and just made. I'm so happy for him. And I mean, I hope he continues this run of and I think he will, man. Yeah. I think he will. He's an exciting boxer, but it definitely gave a lot of people happiness and joy and pride and watching that fight, man. And everyone loves it's that Rocky story, man, that people love the underdog, right? So it was just a great weekend of boxing, man.
You know, as you mentioned, you know, you've been watching him for a long time, you know, being from the area.
Yeah.
And his boxing career.
Yeah.
You know, his very first fight, amateur or pro, happened right here in Barrio Logan.
That's true.
Right?
At the Barrio station. Exactly. At the Barrio station.
Who did he fight?
Barrio Logan. He fought my older brother. And that's a funny
Shout
story
out
right
to
there.
Blackout Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I mean, it's great to see guys that you've seen grow up in the sport of boxing like since the beginning, you know.
And your brother won that fight.
My brother won that fight. Believe it or not, he won that fight.
There's different stories going around.
There's different stories, but I mean, he did.
And your brother's
and the funny thing is, bro, we've watched that fight recently. We have a video, so I mean, I think we're gonna have to bring it out. And the funny thing is, we always joke around with my older brother, hey man, you rolled into the ring, you know, like he rolled into the ring, but he actually walked in. We always joked around with him about that. But yeah, man, we do have video on it. But yeah, man, it was a great weekend of boxing, man. Like I said, it's refreshing, man, to see an underdog do what he did, and that's the reason why people love the sport of boxing for moments like that.
And we should never judge a book by its cover. Again,
Exactly.
right?
Right.
As I mentioned in the monologue, the unlikeliest of heavyweights. The shortest one and the biggest one, chubbiest one. But David, Andy Ruiz might have never made history if he didn't jump in Eddie Hearns' DMs. That's how this all came about. So in honor of this fight being made on social media, we're bringing you a segment called A Timeline of Tweets, where we chronicle Ruiz's rise to history. First one, Dave, is the tweets that started it all. Andy Ruiz sending a direct message to Anthony Joshua's promoter on Instagram, Eddie Hearn, and it read like this right here, guys. Andy Ruiz says, "Give me this fight. I will fight harder than any of the names you've mentioned. I will give you a better fight, and I will beat Anthony Joshua." Supreme confidence in his ability to beat Joshua. And he really wanted this fight. Yeah. And let that be a lesson to young kids watching. Hey, if you want something, go out and get it, Exactly. And there's no shame in asking for it. Look what happened to Andy Ruiz. Yeah. So upon seeing that message, Eddie Hearn admitted that he saw it and it got his attention. And from there, discussions began. Now, from there, the match would get signed on May 1st, approximately 1 month before the actual fight. And Ruiz had just fought on April 20th at the StubHub Center on the Danny Garcia Granados card. And he fought, I believe, he won in the 5th round, I believe, in that fight. So his training camp started shortly after. Now, his training camp, it was a 6-week training camp. Yep. So, a little shorter than what it usually is. Now, David, the fight gets signed, and the naysayers, the doubters, the jokes began right away. Yeah. And the first one to chime in was the Gypsy King himself, Tyson Fury. Started it all with this tweet right here, comparing Ruiz to the little kid from the movie Up. And his tweet read, "LOL, remember the kid from Up? He's now grown and is fighting Anthony Joshua for the world heavyweight title." Now, David, the jokes would continue throughout, and the odds makers would go on to make Joshua a 30-1 betting favorite on some sites. But that didn't deter Andy Ruiz, who had said all throughout the buildup that Anthony Joshua has never fought someone like me. He's never fought a Mexican. Now, the disrespect continued on the actual fight. When they started playing the national anthems, they had somebody singing the American national anthem, somebody singing the anthem from the UK, and they had nobody singing the Mexican national. They had some cheap recording from like the 70s or 80s, which was pretty embarrassing, you know? And then you had the UK fans booing all throughout that national anthem, So let's take everybody through the actual fight, David. What was your analysis? What did Joshua do wrong? What did Ruiz do right?
I mean, I told my brother this at the beginning. Joshua looked off. I think we both can agree. He was like leaning against the rope. That's something you don't do in boxing. When you come into the ring, my father always taught me, stay fresh, a little hopping, show that you want to be there, right? But it didn't show that he wanted to be there. He was leaning against the rope, pulling out his mouthpiece a little bit. It was just kind of, something was off to me. Yeah. Nothing against Ruiz's win, because it was a very good win. But yeah, something seemed off. And I think once he got hit behind the head, and I've been hit behind the head in boxing, and those punches throw you off, bro, and they hurt. So, I mean, once he got hit with that punch behind the head or behind the ear, it wasn't the same after that. You can definitely tell.
Yeah, it was like a left to the temple.
Exactly. So, I mean, all credit to Ruiz, though, man, because he got put down first. Yeah, and he got up, and that was a clean punch. That was a clean left hook that caught him,
But that Mexican heart.
Exactly. He definitely got up, and
kind of how Marquez used to rise up.
Exactly. Yeah, and he definitely returned the favor, right? Yeah. Like you said. So
Ruiz did a lot of great things in this fight. Yeah. He had a big right, a big overhand right that was finding success, finding its mark. And then Anthony Joshua caught onto it. He adjusted to it. Yeah. So it was time for Andy Ruiz and Manny Robles, props to Manny Robles, to make adjustments themselves. And what they did was the signature Mexican thing. They went to the body in rounds 4, 5, and 6, which wore Anthony Joshua down ultimately, right? Now, we mentioned how Anthony no, I'm sorry, Anthony Joshua, not him, but Ruiz was a big underdog.
Yeah.
His trainer, Manny Robles, had his back against the wall too.
Yep.
Coming into this fight.
Yeah.
Both fighter and trainer had their backs against the wall. Manny Robles was pretty much abandoned by everybody in his camp.
Yeah.
They went for greener pastures, and he had like no fighters, you know. And he was working with Ruiz for 2 years. Ruiz before that was with Abel Sanchez. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they found their mark. They found success in this fight, and they had a perfect game plan. As we mentioned, they made adjustments when they had to. Andy Ruiz cutting off the ring beautifully for a big man.
And I liked how, like you said, I think I liked how he throw that jab to the body to find Joshua, because he is a taller guy. Yeah. And I seen that he would throw that jab to the stomach, and dude, it would knock him back, bro. Yeah. It would definitely knock him back. And yeah, I think he would find him there first, right? He would throw that jab to the body, kind of settle him down, make sure he stays there, and then, like you said, he would come over top with the overhand right, and eventually it got him.
And knocking him down 4 times in the
exactly.
process. Now, in the aftermath, there is a rematch set already. Yes. It's going to take place in November or December. Mm-hmm. The venue still being talked about, but Ruiz is saying, hey, if you guys want this rematch, $50 million is my asking price.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he has the belts, right? He holds all the chips now. The ball's in his court. So why not ask for that money? And especially if they want to go to UK. I mean, you know that Al Heyman's a businessman. That's his promoter. And you know that they ain't going to go for cheap. No. If he's, I know, I was watching the fight, and I mean, Eddie Hearn was saying, oh, it's going to be in the UK. It's going to be in the UK. Well, guess what, bro? You better pay for that. You know what I mean? Because it ain't going to be for cheap. And I mean, Andy Ruiz, like I said, he has all the chips right now. But you know what? At the end of the day, I wonder how Bob Arum is feeling after letting Andy Ruiz go, and he's probably like burning up inside.
I'm surprised he hasn't got all over Twitter,
right?
Man.
Right?
He's like 90, but he loves Twitter.
Yeah.
You know?
But, man. But it was, I mean, it ain't going to be for cheap. He's going to make money, man, and all kudos to him, man.
You know, I would love to see that fight at the Staples Center. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've
packed with all Mexicans.
Oh,
there,
yeah.
Man.
I've heard some, hopefully in Mexico, too. They kind of heard that. I'm not sure if it's just a rumor.
Andy Ruiz brought that up.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, why not?
So, his asking price is $50 million.
Yep.
And so now it's time for Eddie Hearn to jump into his DMs and kind of beg him for a fight, right? The tables has turned now, guys.
Definitely turned.
Yeah, but, you know, it's great to have a Mexican on top. The most prestigious title in boxing.
And not only just, it's the way he won, bro. The way he won by knocking out the champion, doing what he did against all odds.
Not even Klitschko did that too.
Not
Joshua.
Yeah, exactly, man. But yeah, super happy, man. It's super great time to be a boxing fan.
And,
right?
you know, everybody was lined up to give Ruiz congratulations on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Those tweets from AMLO, the president of Mexico, inviting Andy Ruiz to Mexico to come visit him. Andy Ruiz is going to have a big parade in his hometown, Imperial Valley, the week of the 20th. Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone tweeted out, calling Ruiz a Mexican Rocky. The Rock tweeted out a message saying he always felt Ruiz was going to win.
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez, you know, shouted him out too.
Exactly.
Manny Pacquiao. My favorite tweet of congratulations came from Conor McGregor. And Conor McGregor said, I know firsthand the toughness of the Mexican chin. They come up off the floor like something out of Thriller. It is never over until it's over with the Mexicans. God bless them. You know, very nice tweet from Conor McGregor, of all people.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the social impact, because this one inspired a lot of kids, a lot of Mexican kids, a lot of kids that might not be physically fit, that see a new role model.
Exactly.
And I heard that a lot this week at the House of Boxing. So social impact, you know, you have kids getting their haircuts now with the picture of Andy Ruiz, as you're seeing right here, knocking out Anthony Joshua, knocking him down. A children's story being written about Andy Ruiz being the underdog. So, man, this guy is all over the place, and it's very well deserved. We're very proud of him, too.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like I mentioned earlier, man, it's refreshing to see an underdog like that. It's pretty much a real-life Rocky movie.
Yeah,
right?
Real Mexican Rocky.
Real Mexican Rocky. But, yeah, man, we're so happy for Andy Ruiz and Manny Robles, like you said. Doing what he did, coming back, losing all of his fighters basically, right? And doing what he did.
Even lost his own son to another train.
Exactly. I seen a video him getting emotional, man.
Oh,
which was
Yeah.
real cool to see, man, because coaches have a hard job, man, and it's tough. And I'm happy for him, man, for coming back in the way that they did.
And you know, they're both good people. They're both
Yeah.
very, very religious people. They
Yeah.
both thank God, you know.
Of course, every time they were interviewing,
Yeah, a lot of times. So, you know, like I said, they had their backs against the wall, both of them, and props to them. And on top of the world now. You know?
Exactly.
Now, David, earlier this week, I interviewed here members of the House of Boxing gym to get their thoughts on this historic moment. This is what they said. What's up, guys? It's Steve, HOB TV. I'm here at the House of Boxing asking people what they thought of Andy Ruiz's historic win. Okay, we're here with the familiar face here from House of Boxing, Carlos Sr. Carlos, how long have you been watching boxing for?
I've been watching boxing probably like maybe 55 years.
And you were telling us that you were at Andy Ruiz's first amateur fight here in San Diego.
It was my grandson. Me and my son, well, before I used to coordinate the Junior Olympics tournament. And we had the district Junior Olympic tournament. And we invite the group from Central California. And in that group, it was Andy, his first amateur fight. And we pre-matched Andy with my grandson in the barber station in Logan, right here in San Diego. And my grandson beat him.
And Andy lost.
Andy lost against my grandson.
And then you took another kid a few fights later.
Oh, I used to have another kid, a heavyweight, like 13 and 14 years old, and we fought Andy twice. And my kid beat him twice.
Wow. So after all that, Andy became what he has. What did you think of the fight last Saturday? What did he do right? What did Joshua do wrong?
Well, just seeing Andy fighting for the second time for the world title and seeing having the whole world against him and doing what he did, winning the heavyweight champion of the world, it makes everybody in my household happy, and all the people from the Bali and San Diego that we know him growing up. It make us so happy, man. I was so impressed with what Andy did.
And as a Mexican too, right?
Oh yeah, that's number one, man.
So there you have it. Carlos Sr. was at Andy Ruiz's first amateur fight. Saw him lose, but he's very proud in the end that he's a Mexican and made history. Carlos, do you know what Andy ate before every one of his fights? You know?
Well, not now. I'm seeing him. They use those Snickers, the candy.
Snickers bar, right?
Yeah.
So in honor of Andy, and so we can make history too. There you
right,
go, man. And
All right,
hopefully,
Andy.
go Andy.
Go, Andy.
Okay, I'm here with Casey. Casey, what did you think of Andy Ruiz's win? Did you watch it? What did you think of it?
I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I thought it was like maybe kind of just maybe a little bit inspiring that he got up there and just proved to everybody that he could get up there with everybody else.
Does he want to inspire you to make history?
To me, yeah. Just like to get better at what I'm doing. Like I've already tried. Like I'm working on getting an amateur, and just like he's like just seeing that a little bit made me want to like push myself more. That I could be able to do that, and like I could maybe a professional boxer too.
Oh. Now, do you know what Andy Ruiz would eat before his fights to give him strength? He would eat a Snickers, right? So you could be like him, and so you can make history like Andy Ruiz. Get a Snickers for you. Thank you. Okay, we're here with Diego now, and Diego, he's an amateur fighter himself. He's gonna give us his take on the Andy Ruiz fight.
Yo, that fight was crazy. He showed a lot of heart, especially in that third round when he got knocked down, and it was just a crazy fight.
And as a Mexican, how did it make you feel?
It makes me feel like there's hope for the Mexican race, like just for the Mexican boxers out there.
Now, do you know what Andy Ruiz would eat before fights to give him all that strength?
No,
He would eat one of these right here.
that's crazy.
But I heard that you can't eat these, right?
No, I
Because you're a
can't.
fighter.
Yeah.
So I got something else for you, man. Here's some bracelets. breath savers for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, man. Okay, guys, I'm here with Anthony now, and Anthony, he's a future fighter here. He takes boxing classes here at the House of Boxing. Anthony, what do you think of the Andy Ruiz fight? How did it make you feel, being that he's Mexican?
I think it was a really good fight. In my opinion, he shocked the world. The first Mexican heavyweight champion. Knowing that I'm Mexican and he's a new Mexican heavyweight champion, he showed his spirit out there in the ring, and yeah, it was a good fight.
Does Andy Ruiz, does he make you want to fight more? Does he make you want to, inspire you to take the classes?
Yeah, he inspired me because he's a big boy, and Anthony Joshua, he was really built, everything like buff, and like Andy Ruiz, he didn't care, like he was he really showed it out there in the ring, and for me, like I'm pretty like chunky myself, so like it makes me want to like box more, and yeah.
Now, do you know what Andy Ruiz ate before fights to give him all that power? You know what he ate?
No.
He ate a Snickers bar, man. So you could be like Andy Ruiz and make history. There you go, man. We're gonna start you on your way. Good luck to you in your boxing. What's up, guys? We're here with Carlos. Carlos is gonna give us his take on Andy Ruiz, his win, and if it inspired him in the world of boxing. What do you think?
I think Joshua overlooked Ruiz. I didn't think they took the time to look at his pedigree as an amateur and how he really boxed, because if they would have watched other fights of him, they could see that he can really fight and really punch. I think coming over here, a lot of distractions. It's no excuse. He's the professional. He's a unified champion. He should have known, and he had to train like he was fighting for the championship. And he came and took the advice of a lot of reporters that thought Ruiz was a butterbean, which is very disrespectful, and he showed them.
As a Mexican, how did his win make you feel?
Oh, it's fantastic, man. We got to see history, right?
History was
people have grandpas and fathers that were waiting for that day that didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
And I got to witness this with my kids and friends of mine. I thought it was great, especially coming from the LBC 44, Imperial Valley. It was great for us, man. Great victory.
Did it inspire you to want to get back in the gym and box? Or
No, man. I'm too old for that, My kids do the amateur boxing, man. We'll leave it there, man.
Now, do you know what Andy Ruiz would eat before a fight too?
I think he was doing Snickers, man.
Yeah.
I think he was doing Snickers, man.
So in honor of Andy Ruiz, man.
Yeah.
Snickers
Oh,
bar.
man, they better give him a commercial.
Give us a commercial too.
Yeah,
right?
hitting the bag, right? This doesn't give me power, and then he pulls out a Snicker. This is where I get my power.
And maybe you can make history too, man.
Yeah, maybe one day, man. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. I want to thank everybody that participated in that segment. I had a lot of fun. And David, I didn't forget about you, my friend.
Yeah.
You get your very own Snickers bar.
I get a Snickers
And
bar.
so
Shout out.
hopefully you can make history too.
I think so.
Now, we have some fights coming up this Saturday. Two big names, two of our favorites.
Yeah.
Triple G versus Steve Rolls, and Oscar Valdez versus little-known Jason Sanchez. David, do you see an Andy Ruiz type upset in any of these fights this weekend?
I'll be honest. No.
But we were
But-
saying that last week.
Yeah, I know, right? No, but hey, who knows? This is boxing, right? One punch can change the whole fight, just like it did for Andy Ruiz. So, hey, I don't think so, but it could happen. I mean, it's boxing, man, and if it does happen, I mean, we'll probably be talking about it next week again. We'll have another episode. But yeah, man, I see the guys who are supposed to winning these fights, Triple G and Oscar Valdez. It's going to be interesting, man. Both of them new trainers, right? Triple G with the new trainer.
Jonathan
Oscar
Bates,
Valdez, his second fight with Eddie Reynoso. So they're going to be good fights to watch and see their improvements.
Now, let's tell the people watching, Oscar Valdez versus Jason Sanchez. It's coming from Stockton, California on ESPN. Triple G versus Steve Rose will be on the Zone, and they'll pretty much be on around the same time. So you got to decide what you want to watch or DVR it. But as you mentioned, this is a story of the two new trainers that these guys hired. And we're going to watch to see what improvements these guys have made or are making, process of making.
Yeah.
Triple G, I noticed a lot more head movement, a lot more waist movement.
Yeah.
Really interesting to see that new part of his game coming together.
Exactly. I mean, I mentioned you earlier this week. I did notice the head movement from Triple G when he was shadow boxing. Again, that's just shadow boxing. Who knows when the punches start flying, he could possibly resort back to being that offensive guy, which will probably be easier for him. But it's the first fight, so it's going to be hard to see a real big difference.
It usually takes
in the weight fight.
3, 4, 5 fights.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, as far as shadow boxing and working the mitts, I did see the head movement, which is good, and which is what he needed to improve his game, right?
I love to ask to pose this question: can you teach an old dog new tricks? And my answer is usually no. Okay?
Yeah.
But I think with any elite athlete,
Exactly.
like a Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, Triple G, Canelo, those guys, I think you can teach them new tricks, right?
Yeah.
Don't overdo it, but they'll pick up on things here and there to put in their game. They're always going to be who they are, but I see Triple G adjusting to Jonathan Banks' style. He's really disciplined. He really respects the sport.
Yeah.
He has something to prove.
Exactly, and let's not forget, Triple G won a silver medal in the Olympics, man.
yeah.
So I mean, not won it, but I mean, he got a silver medal in the Olympics. So he has the amateur background, man. It's not like his first time boxing. He has a boxing history. So, like you said, those
amateur fights.
Exactly. So those elite fighters, man, they're able to pick up stuff a little quicker, and they're open to stuff like that. Yeah. So like you said, I'm not sure if we're gonna see it in this first fight, but it's definitely they're moving in the right direction for him.
Yeah.
So
now don't be surprised, guys, to see both these fights going into the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Don't panic and be like, oh, Triple G's getting old, or Oscar Valdez, Reynoso's not working for him, because they want to work on what they're learning. You know, I mean, they know they could probably wipe away their opponents in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, right? Yeah. But they want to work on their game. So let's keep that in mind.
And I think both these fighters are working on the same type thing, working on defense.
They're both
right?
offensive fighters.
They're both offensive fighters, so they're both working on defense. Oscar Valdez, I did notice in the last fight, I think we mentioned it in an early episode, he did improve on his jab and hands up, which are stuff he needed to work on, pulling out right. He would pull out with his hands down and get caught at times. So we'll see what else little adjustments we can notice right in this upcoming Saturday fight. But I definitely see some adjustments coming. I mean, those guys, Eddie Reynoso, have they're professionals over there, and like you mentioned, right now, these guys are seasoned professionals in boxing for a long time, so they can pick up stuff a little quicker than others.
And expect to have Triple G asked about Canelo again after the fight.
That's a for sure question.
But he's gonna fight Andrade.
Exactly.
Take it to the bank, guys. Mark my words on that one.
Yeah, it won't be till May. It won't be till May. But
Andrade's fighting Selecki later this month.
Yeah,
it's gonna be very easy for them to make that fight.
Exactly. They're both with DAZN, right? With the company DAZN, and
Triple G needs a belt.
It most likely looks like Canelo will be facing Caleb Smith too. Yeah, so that looks like the route that they're taking after his big win this past Saturday to Caleb Smith with the knockout win.
He's a DAZN matchroom guy too. So.
Exactly. So I mean, they can possibly make that fight, but most likely we'll be looking forward to seeing Triple G, Canelo in May, hopefully.
Well, let's look forward, first of all, to this Saturday. And let's look forward to a big drama show, right?
Exactly. So thank you guys for tuning on in to this week's episode. Like I said earlier in the episode, if you guys haven't subscribed to our channel, click that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at House of Boxing TV. Thank you guys for tuning on in. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.